When I heard Nia DaCosta was directing this, she directed the Candyman remake, which
yes.
Whatever you want to say about it being like compared to the original, visually it is a striking film.
Yes.
This was not, so I was a little disappointed, but also not surprised because it's Marvel and they probably had her on a short leash because that's just what Kevin Feige does. Kevin Feige takes all the soul out of every director that I.
Higher. Further. Faster.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Keystone Film Review. We just saw The Marvels. Ooh, directed by Nia DaCosta, starring Brie Larson, Teyonah Parris, Iman Vellani, and Samuel L. Jackson, as well as others. Of course, this is the latest of The Marvels, because they name them The Marvels for Marvel comic books, because they're very unique with their naming. I'm sure there's some history that you nerds are going to type down below and be like, oh, actually, it did this. That's fine.
Actually, Captain Marvel was from DC Comics.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
He was Shazam.
Yeah.
And then for some reason that I don't know.
I mean, they probably just someone sued or something.
Well,
I don't give a shit. I don't care. So, segue into our disclaimer. He's over Marvel.
I'm done.
I've been over it for a long time, longer than him. So take everything we say with a grain of salt. We are not going to just fanboy about it because we're not fanboys. I'm just a movie fan, and I just go see movies all the time, even ones I don't really want to see.
He does like them.
I do, of the liking of them.
Sometimes the disliking.
Probably the majority of the time the disliking. Actually, the majority of the time it's the meh-ing. So... yeah, I mean, this is, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, I think her name is, Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that series, so I don't know too much about her backstory. And then the Captain Rambo.
Yeah.
They create the team, the Marvels, and they fight people in space. And this was enjoyable, but I wouldn't say good. I enjoyed it, but it's not good.
From when we last, we did a review for Captain Marvel, right?
No, I think you were in Virginia when that happened.
Fucking thank God, because that movie was kind of ass.
Yeah.
I disliked that movie for the most part. I didn't hate it completely, but I mean, it was just Marvel was like this kind of. It was going to its path of trajectory, and then it just was like, it was like a speed bump. It was like, what the fuck was that? Oh shit. I disliked it. I thought Brie Larson was very stale in it.
Which is, I don't blame it on her because she's a great actress.
It is the character.
It's the character and the directing of that particular film. Mm-hmm. Because she wasn't that bland in other, cameos she had in the Avengers movies. Yeah. It's just that one, for some reason, just nothing.
But that one was something else. And then the Ms. Marvel show, I liked it, but I wasn't the demographic it was for, so I could only care so much. I'm not a teenage girl, as you can tell, believe it or not. But for the most part, it was enjoyable. A lot of the family aspects with that show was the best part of it for me. Other than that, it wasn't relatable because I am a white man in his 30s. But with the best part of that show, they brought into this movie, which was awesome because the family aspect of Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan's whole show was in this movie, and they just had fun with it. They just ran with it. They knew it was good, and they just kept going, which was really cool. Now, there was parts in this where Brie Larson was just a little bit stale again, but again, that's just kind of her character. That is what it is. And then we got Monica Rambeau. So if you watched WandaVision, which I know you didn't do either.
No, I watched WandaVision.
What? Oh!
I just barely remember it because it's 50% not needed.
Yeah. I liked her in that a lot. She is kind of just like the babble scientist nerd who just says things. And you're like, yeah, we're going to believe you because you seem pretty smart, dog.
You're wearing it.
That's insane.
It's a lab coat.
Yep.
I don't know if she is in that, but...
not very much.
Yeah.
But I liked her in that. I thought she was great in this, the chemistry she had with Brie Larson. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the actress's name. Kamala Khan.
Vellani? Yeah, Iman Vellani.
Iman
Vellani.
Iman, they all worked very well together. They riffed off each other very well, and they were all. It was pretty funny, which was very nice compared to Captain Marvel and compared to some of the dry parts of Miss Marvel. So it was kind of a nice little blend. Now, a problem with this, besides that, is kind of just where you personally, as a person, would probably care about Marvel at this point, because it's kind of been a downward trajectory anymore, because they've got nothing to land on, so they got to rebuild everything after Endgame.
I think I stopped caring in 2010 or 11. Like, I was pretty early in not caring. I was never a huge fan to begin with. Like, I enjoyed them, but then I quickly caught on that they're kind of just the same story and over again. Which, if you enjoy that, that's fine. It's just my personal preferences. I like things to be, changed up from time to time.
But, I mean, even in this, they kind of still do that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's superhero stuff. It's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at least at some points you could try to make it not so much obvious that is it.
Maybe could that maybe not make that more anymore?
Anyway, a lot of the villain parts were just super stale. Basically copy paste on most stuff. You didn't care for her goal on what she was doing, because why would you? You still don't really. In a way, you still don't really get any explanation on what the fuck Captain Marvel has been doing this whole time. Yes, she stated multiple times to people, like, there's other people besides you. Okay. But, like, this was your home planet, dog. What are you doing? What are you... And even Rambo says that at like a certain point.
It's family.
What? It's literally family. Like, you could have came back and shit. I don't know.
Yeah. For me, my biggest problem with this, there's a few things. It's a theme of Marvel in the past, I would dare to even say, like, the past 10 years. I feel like earlier Marvel focused on the smaller tragedies of people. Something that they used to do.
The scope was smaller.
The scope was small. Well, it's not so much that, but like in this, I'm not gonna say too much, but like a planet is being destroyed. In pretty much any other movie, including disaster movies like 2012, they would show people on that planet before the disaster happened and while the disaster was happening to give that emotional punch. So like lesser movies do that. They know how to build up emotion, and I don't know if it's like
Are you
Kevin
saying 2012 is a lesser movie?
I mean,
It's a
actually,
cinema.
no,
It's a cinema
I wouldn't.
masterpiece.
It's not a masterpiece, but it takes more risks than this does.
You give John Cusack his credit.
Something that has been lost in Marvel movies and action movies in general, but I feel like it's because Marvel started the trend, was they only focus on the heroes when disasters are happening. And I know for a fact that wasn't always the case, because in the first Avengers, they focus on a few smaller characters in New York for like 2 minutes to show like how the events are affecting them.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen anymore. You don't see people being affected. You see small CGI characters being affected. You don't see like the emotion in their face or what's happening. And I don't know if that's a Kevin Feige thing, a Disney thing, or if it's just like a studio overall thing that, they can't add sadness to these movies. But they've done a successful job at removing sadness from these movies altogether, to the point where, and without giving too much away, someone sacrifices himself at the time you think they're sacrificing themselves, and you don't feel anything for it. And it's a pretty major character, and it's just I don't know where Marvel, like, there's no more sadness. Yes, in Endgame there was sadness, but that was probably Endgame and Infinity War, but those were rare occasions in the grand scheme of things, and of course No Way Home also had some sadness in it as well. But, like, those are rare exceptions for the, 20 movies that have been released in the past 10 years?
There's no humanity feeling of you trying to save these people but obviously you can't. So there's no sadness in you being like, oh, well, they just didn't. Oh, well.
And like the sadness that there have been for major characters, not for the normal people that are being affected by that, which used to happen all the time in movies. Like I said, 2012, Deep Impact, Armageddon. You would see all these people being affected that weren't part of the plot, and it just added to the scale. It's like, hey, even though this movie's not about you, you could be in this world somewhere.
Well, it also doesn't help that, hey, there's going to be a next movie. Hey, there's going to most likely be that character in that next movie. Like, we already know what the grand scheme's going to be like.
Yeah, I just want to know where Hollywood movies, bigger budget movies, went. Like, when did it go wrong? Where they think that we don't want those emotional impacts because, you know, movies are an escape. Yes, movies are an escape, but that doesn't mean we don't want to feel something.
Yeah.
And they just make everything so bland and benign, where it's just like it's
give us that shit, damn it.
Yeah, like even the lighting in this. I remember in the first Iron Man, the lighting was relatively cool, you know, and like the past few movies that I can remember, just flat, like sitcom lighting. No shadows or anything on anyone's face. When it's dark, it's just a darker light, but it's still flat. There's no shadows. There's no interesting lighting. It's just all...
Even in space, it's just kind of like they look like they're on a stage. And
stuff. They're always facing the sun when they're in space, so they're...
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Not that we should be asking any of this from fucking Marvel and Disney movies, I guess. But
well,
I mean,
they used to do it.
At the same time, kind of should be.
Well, the movies, big budget movies used to do this, and I don't want to be like, oh, movies back in my day were better. Because I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but like blockbuster movies back in my day were better.
Yeah.
They took risks. They made dramatic visuals with lighting. They had sacrifices. They had emotion.
Sacrifice.
And now all we have is and this is still enjoyable. So I understand. We just have jokes now.
It's ranty now.
Jokes and then like 30-second sequences of sacrifice that we don't really have
some exposition
time to
that's too sciencey
process.
for you to understand in the first place.
Yeah, it's
and that
just,
like it makes any sense in the first place.
Yeah. So it's just they're doing themselves a disservice, and I think that I heard they are going towards going back to quality over quantity. I hope that's the case. I'm not holding my breath.
That's exactly what they should have done after Endgame.
Yeah.
They should have taken a 2-year break.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, definitely COVID didn't help that in the first place.
Yeah.
But they should have taken, the plan should have been they should have taken a 2-year break, gathered their thoughts and prayers, and put them in a notebook and started back from ground. Not like every hero had to be back down to ground zero or anything like that.
Yeah.
But they should have started from square one and built that legacy after Endgame.
Yeah.
After that, instead of like, oh, whoa, Endgame just happened. Let's keep them going. Let's keep doing 4 movies a year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Overall, this movie though.
Yeah, this movie. Sorry, going on a little bit of a rant. This movie was enjoyable for what Marvel has become.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere near the heydays. Like, even when I didn't really care about the Avengers movies, I admit they were still good. A little long for what was needed, in my opinion, but still pretty good. Since then, it's just been like snooze fest after snooze fest. This kept my attention the whole time.
I haven't watched Secret Invasion. I haven't watched the She-Hulk. I haven't watched something before that. I haven't watched things in a while, but this is definitely the best thing, and this isn't fair to say, the best thing since Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But before that, it's been...
was this year.
Yeah, so that doesn't count because that's its own entity. But this has probably been the best thing since No Way Home.
I would agree. It's Kamala Khan is a great character.
Mm-hmm. Her family is like great
even
overall.
when she gets annoying, it's like charmingly annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she's the realest thing in this movie.
yeah, she's a teenager. She's
you
meeting her
relate-
hero.
Where to like, obviously, again, white male in his 30s. You didn't relate to her in her show. She's
I haven't seen her show, so
She's
I
the
can't
most
say that,
relatable
but-
thing in this movie because she's real.
Yeah.
compared to all these other things.
One thing I wish they had a moment where like she doubts if it was a good thing that she met her hero. Because in the beginning, like Captain Marvel is kind of like shrugging her off a bit, and it would have been nice for just a minute where, she's doubting whether or not that she should have been, like, worshiping her this entire time.
There was about 10 seconds of it, but not a minute.
Not enough. Again, like all the other things, all the emotion was rushed.
And it also should have been a thing where, like, if Captain Marvel thought she was a hero enough. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she
It
did
did that a little bit.
She did have that crisis of, like, I'm not a hero.
But again,
like, it should have been
rushed.
like, I am not a hero.
Yeah.
It should have had more emotion, more punch to it.
And that's the great, like, this is a funny movie, but it could have been funny with also a lot of emotion, and it wasn't. It was just,
also, there's like a dance and singing number.
Yeah.
And they had a battle sequence, and they didn't sing during the battle sequence. You fucked that joke up.
Yeah.
It would have been hilarious.
All the people on the planet where they sing, they scream while going to the battle, and they could have gone, ah! And they didn't do it.
If they went out dying,
Yeah.
fucking
They didn't do it.
anything. But they ruined that joke. It could have been really funny, but I mean, it was a little funny.
But like when I heard Nia DaCosta was directing this, she directed the Candyman remake, which
yes.
whatever you want to say about it being like compared to the original, visually it is a striking film.
Yes.
This was not, so I was a little disappointed, but also not surprised
It's Marvel.
because it's Marvel and they probably had her on a short leash because that's just what Kevin Feige does. Kevin Feige takes all the soul out of every director that
I feel like I would blame Disney more than I would Feige.
Well, they put Kevin Feige in charge of them, so like yes, it's Disney's fault, but like Kevin Feige could test the boundaries a little bit, but he's too afraid of.
Wouldn't it be crazy if
losing
he
his job.
does and this is still what we get?
If that's the case, dude, you need to like. I don't do drugs at all, but you need to take some drugs if that's what you think interesting is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he tests the boundaries, but Disney's not letting him test the boundaries.
Okay, yeah, that could be true.
Yeah.
I don't know, but all I know is that Marvel hasn't been interesting in over 10 years, in my opinion. Again, you can disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. That's why we all have opinions.
I do, but we got a review to wrap up eventually.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so this movie overall okay. One of the better ones that is not directed by James Gunn to come in since Infinity War or Endgame, but overall has so many missed potentials, missed opportunities with emotional beats and a stronger plot that it just kind of throws to the wayside, which is a shame. Because it could have been a really good movie, but instead it's just meh.
Without saying spoilers, where this goes from here and what Marvel's plan is going to be interesting. I just want them to take their time on it and not rush what could possibly be good. Just take your time. Mm-hmm. Please. But for the Marvels, what are we going to do? Are we going to rate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we do in this.
That's what we do in this shit, man.
For me, we discussed this a little bit already.
We kind of
one of our friends that works here asked us what we rated out of a 10, which we never do out of 10. So
yeah, it was very weird to think about that.
So like I was saying, a 2.5 is too cruel. So I would do a 3, but it is leaning towards a 2.5. So if it was out of 10, it'd be like a 5.5. But it's gonna be a 3 for me.
Yeah, I was saying 3 because of the laughs and the unexpected good time I kind of had with it. Would give it a 3, but the overall like villain could have been better.
Yeah, not the actress's fault. It's the material.
Mostly some plot issues where they
plot and pacing.
Our powers make us like trade places, but when I use my powers, we're not trading places most of the time. Whatever, it's okay.
Yeah,
they needed plot. Anyway, I would give it a 3.
Yeah,
as well.
So, if you saw The Marvels, tell us what you thought down in the comments down below. Who was your favorite character in this? And was it Samuel L. Jackson when he said, "Oh, it's Carol"?
Oh, cool, Carol.
Oh, cool, it's Carol. If you've seen it, you know what that part is.
That part was hilarious.
That part was very hilarious. But yes, let us know down in the comments what you thought of everything. Again, if you disagree with us regarding Marvel, I would love to hear your thoughts.
And that's okay.
Open discussion. Try to keep it respectful, because while I don't like Marvel, I understand I'm in the minority. So
you get 1 free ginger pass.
I get all the ginger passes. But yes, let us know, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.